Hey, this is Andrew Brown, your organizer for the free AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp, brought to you by the AWS Ontario Virtual User Group. And I have a lot of updates for you, and very important updates that you're going to want to know before the bootcamp starts. So the first thing I want to tell you is the student portal is up. And the student portal is very important because that is where you are going to be submitting your homework. And this is going to be where the grading tool is for the end of it, the validation tool to validate your project so we can issue out your badge. If you cannot get into the portal because you typed in the email wrong during the registration, or you're having issues getting the email, make sure you figure out how to get in. And the best way to find out is if you go join the Discord. And we sent out Discord links multiple times. I'm not publicly posting the Discord because I don't want to let a bunch of people in that aren't registered. But check those previous emails. Check the meetup group, because if you joined meetup.com, I sent them out there as well. And I might send out another one. And that way you can get into the Discord. And in the Discord, there is an email in the announcements that gives you direct support to solve any issues you're having there. But I have updated the FAQ to address the most common issues. So make sure you check the FAQ. I'm updating it all the time. And if you're still having trouble, get into the Discord and find that email and email us. And it's Sam who's taking care of it, because we want you to get in there. So anyway, the student portal is here. And so if I was to open a new link here, you'll notice that registration is closed. So if you did not fill out that registration 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago when we did that registration period, you aren't imported in the student portal. This is for only students that filled out that long form. So if you remember filling it out, then you most likely are in the registry. But anyway, we took those registrations and we imported them into the student portal, but we didn't have a password for you. So you have to set your own when you first come in. And the way we do that is we're going to go to that forgot password. So it's not that you've forgotten your password, there just is no password. So you have to go here, you'll put your email in, it will send you an email. And from that email, you will then click a link and reset your password. Now, I need to point out a couple things about this because a lot of folks have been having issues resetting their password. So there's one where you get an error that says email not found. That is likely because you are not in the registry because you did not fill out a form, or you entered your email in incorrectly. So that JOT form that we sent in, it made sure emails were valid, but it did not make sure that you filled in the right email. So I saw some folks that instead of writing .com, they wrote .cim. So for those, they were easy to correct, but other ones that weren't noticeable, we weren't able to reach out. And it's also the reason why we had an issue where emails weren't reaching people, because we had about like 50 emails bounce. And at the time, we didn't have suppression lists set up, so we didn't know that they weren't being received. And so there's about 50 people that are registered for the bootcamp, but you have to tell us to help you correct those emails. And the only way is to get on the Discord and find that email and send us an email so we can help you out. Anyway, my point is that those emails most likely are going to your spam folder. And when they go to your spam folder, a lot of clients will strip out the URL or they'll make it inaccessible. So what you have to do is move that file, the email, out of your spam, and then the link will reappear because you need that link in order to follow through to reset your password. And that is another very common issue that people are having with the student portal. So you'll have to work through those things. But what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and log into the student portal. So I have an account here. I'm going to see if I can remember my password and get in. And here we are in the student portal. So I will be putting announcements here as well, but of course in the Discord as well. I'm just posting things everywhere. You're going to notice a few things, which is you have this profile information. Now, at the start of the bootcamp, we need to know your AWS account ID and your domain name. Or we need to know it before we do grading, which will come way later, like in May. So you do have time to fill these things out. But I want to point out that your AWS account ID needs to be unique per student. So if you are attempting to share AWS account IDs, that's not going to work, okay? Because we're going to look at that and we're going to treat it as students are cheating. And you might say, well, I'm just trying to help out a friend. Well, the thing is that in AWS, you can create sub-accounts through organizations. So if you're trying to help out a friend, you have to create a sub-account so they have their own account ID and they fill that in there. Same thing with domains. If we see shared domains, we're going to look at that as cheating. So make sure you obtain your own domain. There's a lot of ways to obtain a domain. There's been a lot of questions about domain name stuff, and we'll address that here in a moment. When the bootcamp gets going, under submissions or assignments or weeks, these are going to unlock. This is where you're going to be able to submit stuff. This is going to repeat information that is probably already in the outline there. We do have this box down here where you can ask questions. This goes into the void. I say the void, I mean like we don't answer questions here, but you can submit questions. And then when I say answer them, I mean we do answer them. We just don't answer them here. So the idea is that when you have a question, you fill them in here. And the idea is that we can go through them, cherry pick out ones that are the most common. And then I will make sure that we address them in office hours or during the stream for most common stuff for the next class. But anyway, coming back over to here, yeah, you can fill in your team name. So if you are, and by the way, you can just hit edit or here to go to these values. Your team name is going to be based on what you said in Discord. So that's where teams are being formed. You really only want to form a team if you understand the trade-off here. So if you are a team, that means that you are no longer participating as an individual. You are not going to earn these badges. There's going to be different badges. They might look the same, but it's going to be team badges. And the grading will be slightly different because we'll be grading you on a single project as opposed to individualized projects. You still should run your own project, but your team lead will submit it. And we need to see contributions from all students who are in a team on that project. So that is something that's very important. And there's trade-offs working in a team. The thing is that if you have people of different skill levels, then it kind of normalizes out and more people can help each other get it through. But if you have some folks that are not pulling their weight, they could tank your score and therefore, they could mess everything up for you. So make sure you choose your teams wisely. There are rules for forming teams. Teams are going to close in the next few days because I'm going to just make a form and people are going to submit them and then they're going to be locked in. But yeah, so it's up to you whether you want to participate as an individual or team. So if you have a team, you would know what the team name is because on Discord you put it in. You'd also put your Discord username there as well. More columns are going to show up here because I need to know where your repository is that you are working on. So that's another thing that's up is the actual template website. So over here, this is where the backend and front end are. This is what we will be creating a template, going up here and saying create a new repository. And this is what you're going to be working on. So I'll need the URL of what that new address is. And I probably will have some soft rules about what I'd like you to name it so that it's easy for me to discover or anyone who's grading to discover. But you will have to probably copy and paste the link over into here when I add in that field over there. We do also have journaling in here as well. So you do submit your homework links directly each week. I just don't have these unlocked, so I can't show you what they look like. But we will show you coming closer to when the bootcamp starts. But here, these are just markdown files, and I want you to write what you are doing. If you are dumping stuff in retroactively, it's not going to look favorable for you. You have to be doing this during the bootcamp. So I want to see week 0 stuff being committed over time in week 0. I do not want to see all this stuff dumped in at the end because we'll just consider that cheating or poor communication practice. Because in the real world, when you're working on a project, you can't just show up and dump all the stuff in. Right? You have to show as you're doing it. And so that is something that's going to be enforced here for grading for sure. I'll definitely be looking at that. So make sure you fill that in. And I just put it here just to make my life easier. If you want to do it somewhere externally, that's fine, but it has to be submitted within the week. But I really would like you just to update the markdown file in place on there. You don't even have to use Gitpod or anything like that. You can just literally click into here and hit edit. And I actually recommend this way because then it won't cost you any compute. Like if you use GitHub Code Spaces or Gitpod, you're spending credits by opening these up. So it's better just to open it up here because GitHub's not charging you for editing it like here because it's just using the web browser and submitting it like a regular request. So this is up and I need to do a little bit more work here. I just wanted to get some architectural diagrams in here to help understand how the application works. It's not super critical to know all that stuff because we're focused more on the cloud side, but just in case people feel they're a bit lost, I want to make sure that I try to lay out what are the components and what are the endpoints that are being communicated there. So that's why I'm working on an architectural diagram here today for the application. So I'm just working through that with the back and front end that's more at the physical layer or showing as much information as I can so you can better understand how the app is and navigate around it. I met with a lot of our guest instructors, so you can see that week 0 has lots of prep going in. So we do have cool architectural diagrams that we'll be stepping through with a cloud engineer and a solutions engineer and a solutions architect, Margaret and Chris. So that will be very exciting. I saw some folks saying, does it matter if we use, what can we use for the tools? Can I just use Dry.io instead, whatever? And I'm pretty particular. I want you to use Lucid, because if you're using something else, I can't help support that. You can if you want, but again, if you go off the beaten track and you get stuck, you're going to be stuck. So try to stick with the tools that we are using through this bootcamp, unless there is a cost reason or another reason why. I understand, but just understand that if you deviate, we're not going to help you on that kind of stuff. Not for core instruction anyway. So there is that. Domain names, folks have been asking a lot of questions about that. I want to go over to the FAQ to show you that I've been writing a bunch of stuff in there. So if we go over to the main website, which is cloudprojectbootcamp.com, AWS cloudprojectbootcamp.com, big white text here. Read the FAQs. Please, please read the FAQs. I'm seeing the same questions asked over and over and over again. And I spend a lot of time writing this stuff up, and other members do as well. So if I seem a bit draconian and I'm not the nicest in the chat, I just say read the FAQs. It's because I've heard it 100 times. So look at all the stuff I wrote about domain names. So go here and read it all. Now, I'll tell you some things. So you can use Freenom, but I know that a lot of people have been having quite a bit of trouble with Freenom. So if we go over to Freenom here, it's a free domain name provider. It's not reliable. But it's free. And you can get a domain from here, and you should be able to renew it every month for the bootcamp. What I do recommend is to spend the money and get a domain name. There's a lot of different ways of getting a domain name. I think there was one in the chat called like TLD list domain names. I'm just trying to find the domain here for you. TLD list. So this was one website that someone shared that showed, we'll go to dark mode because it's nicer, but showed where to get the cheapest domain. So if I go here and go cheapest register, you can see 88 cents domains, 95-cent domains, things like that. But obviously there's a difference between the first time you register and renewal. So like you might get a domain that's 80 cents the first time around, but next year they might charge $10 or $20. So just be aware that that's the trick there. They try to get you in cheaply. So maybe when you purchase the domain, just don't let it auto renew. Another consideration is when you choose a domain name provider to purchase your domain, make sure you can change the name servers, because if you cannot change the name servers, then we cannot manage it by Amazon Route 53. That's going to mess everything up. The reason why we need to use Amazon Route 53 is Amazon Route 53 has a special record set called an alias, not to be confused with the A record. And it's a way of intelligently mapping resources from your domain to things like load balancers and stuff, and we need to use it. Could you use your domain without using Route 53? Probably. It probably would save you a little bit of money, because I found out going through all the pricing that for Route 53, I didn't put the summary up here, but I went through and talked to Chirag, who's our pricing spending guest instructor. And I'm pretty sure that Route 53 costs 25 cents per hosted zone. If we go down to here, it's going to take a look here. Route 53. So it says you can register domains. You cannot use AWS credits to purchase domains. That makes sense. And so you can just point your domain using, So here it says 50 cents per hosted zone per month for the first 25 zones. So as far as I understand, and I said 25 cents down here, it should be 50 cents. It's going to cost you 50 cents month over month as soon as you turn on or create a hosted zone. And so I do want you to move over and do this, but I just want people to buy the domain. And I'm noticing a lot of people are setting their name servers, and they might be unaware that they're now incurring a 50-cent cost. And that's not part of the free tier. At least I don't think it is. So just understand that there is going to be at least a spend of $1.50 throughout the 3 months because of this one thing. There's no way to work around it. I tried really hard to eliminate any additional costs. The only other service that was not free, and that's why we had to make a change, was for the Fargate week. So instead of using Fargate, the serverless containers, it's now just containers, as we will be using ECS EC2. I probably will provide instructions for Fargate, not during class, but as an alternative for people that can handle the spend. Not that it's that expensive, but those are the two places where I just could not eliminate spend. So I want you to be aware of that. As I said, the bootcamp is free, and we're trying to make the resources as free as possible. But at the end of the day, there is going to be a tiny bit of spend. You have to be comfortable with it. Do I have AWS credits? Not so much. I'm going to try to talk to AWS again. The issue is that there's a lot of people in this bootcamp, and it was really relying on people joining the AWS virtual meetup group and making sure all those things are there. I will try to reach out and see what can be done. But yeah, that's the only thing that I think that I can't get around is that Route 53 spend there. So there's that. You can see there's this pricing sheet. This is not visible or publicly shared yet. It will be shared soon. I just want to fill out the top here so that we have that summary, and we'll be checking pricing over and over and over again. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of all the stuff that is coming up here. We're 6 days away for the bootcamp. Another thing that I just remembered is that I would like you to go ahead and set your reminders. So I created these ICS files, and you can use this to import them into your calendar. ICS files definitely work with Google, but you do have to go find the import for it. It's not like one click and install, but they definitely work in basically everything. So I strongly recommend that you put these in your calendar so that you are aware of where the stream is happening. And all these do is they just remind you and they point you here. And then this points you to my YouTube so that you can get to the live stream. I will probably start setting scheduled live streams on my channel. So that's another way for you to remember. Email is not reliable because of that bounce rate, and our reputation got hit for those emails. So you really do need to keep on top of it yourself. Add to the schedule. The stuff is running over and over again at the same time. The only thing that is not on the schedule is still the hours for career services. I do have dates picked out, but I need to confirm them with Lou to make sure that they are still on track there. So that's why I haven't shared those as of yet, but they are happening. Office hours, I haven't even thought about when they're going to be. I'm not sure if I'm doing 1 or 2 a week, and I need to do them during the week. Probably they're going to be in Discord. We will see. That's probably the easiest way to host them. There's also the option of doing them by Zoom, but really I just want people to be in the Discord and to deliver them via there, because I'm finding that there's a lot better knowledge share there, and a lot of the people that aren't in the Discord are asking extremely common questions that are eating up a lot of the bandwidth for administration. And if they were in the Discord, then there's the support of the community to answer and to get you over that stuff, so we can focus on making sure I'm focused on creating or prepping content and stuff like that. So yeah, I will see you soon, and there's your update. Ciao.